Hey guys, welcome back to my shop, and this is going to be another episode of Shop Talk with Adam. And this time I wanted to talk about tap handles and tap wrenches. And I know this isn't something that was, this wasn't necessarily viewer requested material, but it's something that I wanted to talk about and share with you because this is a tool that it's another one of my personal tools in the shop that I really like. I love tap wrenches and I love finding good quality tap wrenches, and I use them every day with a lot of the work that I do, and I love having a good quality tap handle to use. So I wanted to talk about mine, the ones that I have here, and if you'll stick around to the end, I've got a couple more that I'm going to show you that I think you'll like, and another little surprise at the end too. So stick around and we might have some fun here at the end. But what I want to talk about is my tap wrenches and my tap handles here, and I've got a couple other things here I'm going to talk about. And you can see I've got them all in order here to size, and these are what I consider a tap handle, and then this is what I consider a tap wrench. People also consider these a T handle. They're known as T handles. Okay. And I use both of them. Just depends on what I'm doing and where I'm set up to do some tapping by hand. Just depends on the setup in the machine, and also depends on the size of the tap too. So I'll just kind of go over these real quick because everybody has seen these and everybody's probably got one or two around. And I'll start with the tap handles here, or the T handles. You know, I got a couple of the small ones right here. And this one, I bought another one that's about the same size. It's just a cheap import one. It's something that I bought a long time ago. I didn't pull it out. It wasn't nothing special to show. This one right here was one that's been around our shop forever. It's one that either my dad or my granddad acquired, just like most of these I'm going to tell you about. So this has always been a good one here. I don't know the brand of this one. I can't see a marking on it. It's the same as this one here. This one's a little bit bigger, but this one's labeled as E.B. Hansen, and it's for a quarter to a half-inch tap. We've got two of these like this. They've probably tapped thousands of holes. And then I've got this one also, and this one is actually my personal favorite. It's just got a really good feel to it. It's nice and solid. It's got a good finish to it. I like the way they did the handles. They don't pop out there. And this one is actually made by Craftsman, but I know it's old because it's been around our shop forever. But it says a number 4067, Craftsman USA. So I think this was made back in the prime years of Craftsman, whenever they used to make some good quality stuff here. But this one will handle a little bit bigger tap than this one, than this size here. But it's a really nice tap handle, and I like using that one. Okay, so that's the tap handles. So now I move on to the tap wrenches. Now I'll start with the smallest one. We got a little baby one right here, and these are excellent to have. You don't use them often unless you're working on some really tiny stuff all the time. But these are great for those really small, tiny, screw taps, the screw sizes. This one here is a Starrett. Let's see if I can find it. Yep, this is a LS Starrett company, number 174, and this was my granddad's right here. And next size up, we got two of these are the same. They're the same size, but they're two different manufacturers. And I actually use these all the time for my small taps. And this one here, I can make out LS, but it looks like the next letter is an F, and I don't know if I'm reading it right. It's been rubbed on so much you can't hardly read it, but it looks like it says LSF number 1. So I'm assuming that might be a Starrett, that I'm reading it wrong. It might be a Starrett because of the LS, but it doesn't look like the typical Starrett tap wrenches that they make. So I don't know if maybe that was another company that I don't recognize, but it's a good quality tap wrench. I got another one right here, same size, but this one's a different manufacturer. This is this one's made by General. Yep, a General, New York, USA, number 170. This is another one that's always used a lot. I actually keep one of these in my drawer with all my easy outs. Keep it in there, and I got another one in my tap drawer, you know, for when I'm grabbing a small tap. All right. Next one here, this is the kind that I do not like and I try to stay away from. I can't stand these things. I'm sure a lot of you guys have this style right here, and I'm not saying anything's wrong with it, but I prefer the good quality stuff, especially the stuff that's made in USA. I really like the quality of them. This one right here doesn't even have a marking on it anywhere, and this was probably made in China. And I don't even know where I got this thing from. It's just it was mixed in with the tools, but this is the kind that you typically see for sale in tool catalogs. You know, they got these things for cheap. You know, you can buy one for like 20 bucks. And I will say that I've seen a few of these things in my work experience. I've seen a few of these things break. They're okay, but they're not ideal. I mean, they're good for a big business that's got a bunch of people out there working, you're having to buy tools for. Yeah, load up and get a bunch of these and let them break, and you ain't out a lot of money. But you know, guys like me, I really take pride in my tools. I don't want some junk like this in my shop, but this, you know, this is part of my collection, and I'm not going to throw it away, but it's just something that's been around here. The next two here are very well-used tap handles. These I use all the time. This is kind of what I consider more of a smaller to medium-sized tap handle, and this one right here belonged to my granddad. His name is scribed on here, James Booth. He put it on both sides there, James Booth. So this, you know, I really take pride in having this because this was my granddad's, and there's no telling how many jobs he used this tap handle for right here. A lot of his tools have his name on them because, you know, places like he worked out at the Navy base, and everybody put their name on their tools. The next one right here is the same size as this one. Oh, this one, my granddad's here, is made by Threadwell. It says Threadwell Greenfield number 35 USA. Okay. This one here is the same size. This is a really good quality. It's got a really good feel to it. And this one's made by Wells Brothers Company, Greenfield, Massachusetts, USA. This is a number 5. Also a very good tap handle. All right, the next two here step up in size. This is a Greenfield, made by Greenfield Tap and Die. And this is a number 6. And I don't know who owned this one, but the initials JW were scribed in on the back side there. But this is a good, very good quality tap handle here. And the next one here is the same thing, I believe. Let's see, Greenfield. Yeah, this one's also a Greenfield number 6. This is one that I can say that I bought, and I got this at an estate sale up the road here. That metal tool cabinet I keep right there by the Victor lathe, I bought that in an estate sale, and I also got this as well as some other tools, stuff that's put up that I'm not going to talk about. But that old man had a basement with, I mean, he had a full workshop down there in his basement. He had some really good quality stuff down there, man. And when I got there, people were everywhere, and this tap handle was sitting there, and it had a sticker on it that said $5. So I instantly picked it up, you know, because this is a good tap handle. So I grabbed this, got it for $5, which was a very good deal, and that's a good quality tap handle right there. Also, that, you know, I use these all the time. I use all these things quite often. The next two, these bigger ones here, these are also tap handles that's been around our shop since my granddad got them, or my dad, I don't know who, but they've been around our shop for 40 years. This one right here is made by Threadwell. It says Threadwell Greenfield number 37 USA. And it was actually broken at one time. You can see right there, it looks like some nickel welding was done, or some kind of welding. It looks kind of like nickel or stainless. But it was welded back together, and it's been that way ever since I've been in my career here at the shop, and it's never broken. It still works great. So they did a good job fixing that one. The next one here is the same exact size, and this one's made by Greenfield Tap and Die, and that's what it says. Greenfield, Massachusetts, made in USA. This is a number 7. This is a really good size to have around your shop. If you're doing any of the kind of work like I do, every now and then you've got a pretty good size hole to tap. You ought to have you one about this size, the Greenfield number 7. And I know up to a few years ago they were still building these, all these different size tap wrenches. Things change so much. All these companies keep getting bought out by other people, and I don't know if Greenfield is still in business making these things, but back in 2010 is when I got married, and my best man was Joe, which you've seen in the Shackles video. He was my best man, and one of the things that I got for him was one of these tap wrenches, and it's still, it had Greenfield on it, and it was still really good quality. And these are good for up to 1.1 inch tap. I've actually got Booth Machine inscribed on this one right here because I took this one to work and I use it down there. So that's about it for the tap wrenches. I got to reset, and I'll be right back, okay? Alright guys, I'm back. I actually had a visitor stop by, my buddy Pete with Southern Marine. He stopped by and talked to me for a little while. Just a good buddy of mine, and he came by to shoot the shit with me, and so I sat down and talked with him for a little while about some stuff that was going on and some work and things like that. But anyway, I just wanted to jump back on this and talk about what I was talking about. I believe I was on this largest tap handle here whenever I stopped the last clip there. And one of the things that I wanted to point out with this one before I ended this was this tap handle here. This particular one is made by Greenfield. It's a number 7, and it will accept up to 1.1 inch tap. Okay, so I got a tap here. Here's an 1.1 inch tap, and I'm just going to demonstrate it. That'll hold that square tap. There's 1.1 inch. And anytime you got to do some large tapping, this is an excellent tap handle to use. And that's the largest size that this one will hold. The number 7 is 1.1 inch. Okay. And before I move on from that, what I was going to point out was I've got some of my other things here. This is these are my spring-loaded centers. I've got a few of them. I've got 3 of them right here. Here's another one. Spring-loaded center. And here's a big one right here. And I don't use this one very often, but it's one that's been with all of our tools and stuff over the years. And this one's actually really good for indicating between centers on the lathe. You stick this between a live center here, and you stick this on a punch mark if you're trying to indicate something in the chuck, and you put a little pressure on it there so it holds it, and you indicate the body of the center. So that's what this one's good for right here. But these two here, these are excellent to use in the milling machine or the lathe, depending on what you're doing, but they're oftentimes used in the milling machine. This is a 1/2 inch body here. You put this in a collet, and what you do is you get your tap wrench, and usually you have a hole or center on the end of the tap wrench there, and you apply a little pressure to it, and when you're hand tapping a hole, use the spring-loaded center to guide it and keep it on center as you're tapping. Okay, that's what I use these for. They're very useful and another excellent tool to use in the shop. Like I said, I've got 2 of these. I've got another one that's also shop made. I've got it at my other job. I use it all the time. But these are two, actually three. You know, I got this big one, but these are two here that you see me using in the shop quite a bit. And again, the body's you know, 1/2 inch diameter, so you can put it in a chuck or you can put it in a collet to hold it and guide your tap wrench. Or if you've got a tap like this one, you know, here you got a center ground in the end of the tap. If you need to guide it, you stick that one in there, and that keeps your tap center as you're cutting. So another good tool to have. If you don't have one of these, and if you don't feel like making one, you can actually buy one of these. I know MSC sells them. You can get them from MSC because I bought one at my other job. It's a lot smaller than this, but it still has a 1/2 inch body. So they are readily available to buy, but it's also a good shop project too, is to build a spring-loaded center. I've seen these in some of the metalworking books. I've got one myself that's it's metalworking projects, and they've got an article in there about building a spring-loaded center. It's not very hard, a pretty cool little project to do. So I think that kind of covered all of these tap wrenches and tap handles right here. So what I want to do is move on to another one that I've got. And so I've got this big one here. This one goes to 1.8 inch, but sometimes I got a tap bigger than 1.8 inch that I want to tap. So I got another one right here I'm going to pull out. And that's this big boy right here. And I love this tap handle. It's become one of my favorite ones. And I've actually only recently acquired this thing. I bought it whenever I was showing you my Brine and Sharp indicator holder that I bought at the Moultrie, Georgia swap meet. That same guy had this tap handle on his table. And when I came up, this was the first thing that I noticed. He had it just sitting there on his table across all the tools. And I was like, man, that is a badass tap wrench, man. I gotta have that damn thing. So, you know, I picked it up and was looking at it and was thinking, you know, all the useful times that I could have used this thing, and I had to have it. So I asked him how much he was asking for it, and he wanted $50 for it. I didn't argue with him. I didn't try to haggle with him. I told him, I said, I got it. That's mine. So I paid $50 for this one right here. And this one is made by, it says SW Card Manufacturing Company, patented March 26, 1901, and it's a number 10. So made by Card, number 10. And this one here, I can't remember the largest tap that it will hold, but I want to say it's like 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches. I got my scale here. It's got a 15/16 width across the flats there. I got another tap here. I believe this is 1.25 inches, and so that's 1.25 inch tap. So if I got to do some tapping with 1.25 inches, you know, I can grab this tap wrench right here and turn that sucker. And I use these taps. I use some big taps at my other job quite a bit with the work that I do down there. I'm always having to tap some larger holes, especially like in pistons for hydraulic cylinders. Instead of doing all the threading with a single point tool, sometimes I'll just bore it to size and grab my tap. I've got taps down there up to 2 inch. Usually they're all 12 pitch, so like this right here is 1.25 inches 12, and I'll tap them with a tap. But sometimes you got to just chase a thread in something like a piston or whatever. You have something that you need to run a tap through, and you want a good wrench. This one comes in handy, really good for that application, and I really like it. It's a good quality tap wrench. I really like it. I cleaned it up just a little bit. I keep it oiled. It's got a good, nice, solid feel to it. So this is one of my favorites right here. I really like that tap wrench. And you can see the size difference. I'll pull this up into the frame. Here's my other big one. And you can see the size difference right there. So, one of my personals that I bought and one of my favorites. Really like that. If you ever see one like that, you ought to pick it up. They don't come across too often. So, if I got a tap larger than that I need a tap handle for, I got another one for you. I got that one right here. This is another one of mine that I really love and I love to have. And it's big and it will hold an even bigger tap. The 1 1/4 inch fits in there easily. I don't remember the exact size tap that this will hold, but it'll go quite a bit bigger than the 1 1/4 inch. And this one here is stamped TRW, made in USA, number 8. So that's what this one is here. And I found this tap handle local, just down the street. We had we got a hardware shop down the street, and years ago when I was a lot younger, you know, we've had this a long time now. When I was younger, I was always in there buying stuff and having to get bolts and stuff like that. And I remember looking through their cutting tool section, and they had 2 of these sitting down there on the shelf, and they didn't even have a price on it. And I asked the guy that was working, I said, how much are you asking for that tap wrench down there? And he told me, he says, I'll take 50 bucks for it. So I bought it because I knew it was very useful around our shop, you know, being a job shop. And I know it's got a long handle on it, but the times that we've really used it for tapping a hole, it kind of comes in handy when you can put the part somewhere, like say up on the table or the vise, and you can get 2 people on it to turn that sucker. And it's not just for tapping a hole too. You know, if you've got something that you got to chase a thread in, you want to run a tap through a hole because it's got some boogered up threads. This is a really handy tap handle to use. I actually let my buddy Joe down at the welding shop borrow this one time because he had to tap some, I want to say it was some 1" 8 holes in a bunch of plate, and he had to do it all by hand. And I let him borrow this, and it worked out really good for him. It's just you get so much more torque on those big taps whenever you can reach out here and really turn that thing. So this is one of our tap handles here that I really like to use. And he had 2 of them, and I really wish that I would have bought the other one at the same time, but I didn't. I didn't think that I needed it, but I really wish that I did. I would have liked to have 2 of them. That was my cousin just drove by in the ambulance there. He's an EMS. He came by honking at me. So anyway, there's that big tap handle. And give me a second, I'll be right back with you, alright? Alright guys, I had to stop for a second. My cousin, he's an EMT and drives an ambulance, and he just drove by. That's the horns that you heard just a second ago. He was in the area and he stopped by, which he does every now and then. He just drove by and went out there to talk to him, and as soon as I went out there, he had a call he had to go to, so he had to leave. So I'm back, and I'm gonna finish talking to you again about these tap handles. I was gonna talk once again about this one here. This is that big one that I got, and I got a tap out to show you. This is an 1 3/4 inch 12 tap. And this is from what I understand, this is the largest size that it will hold. You see it goes in there good. So any big holes like that you got to tap, that's the tap handle for you right there, man. That's a man's tap. Man's tap handle. So I really like having that. So it's a cool conversation piece, and you know what? It comes in handy every now and then. You gotta tap a hole. But I got one more to show you, and that's this sucker right here. That's that big boy right there. Now that's a tap handle right there. This one right here is a Greenfield tap and die number 24. And this is one that my granddad acquired for the shop. And we've always had it around here. It's always stayed right up underneath this table. And this is it, just like you see it. We don't have the handles for the ends, you know, the ones that might have come with it. It's both ends are tapped, so you really need to have the handles to make it complete. And it's something that I've always wanted to do, was make some handles for it. And I'm going to do it one day, just haven't ever got around to it. But it's really cool having this tap handle right here. And you might be thinking, what the hell are you ever going to use that thing for? It doesn't get used often, but sometimes you got some big taps that you need to drive, and having the leverage off this really comes in handy. And what I'm going to do is give you an example. The biggest tap that I have in the shop is this 2-inch pipe tap. Okay, it fits this tap handle very easily. See, there it is, right there. And that actually kind of dwarfs it, you know, it makes it look, it kind of looks like it's too small of a tap to be using with this thing. But I have had a couple jobs that has come into the shop where I had a housing that was tapped, you know, for 2-inch pipe that had some messed up threads in it, where people, you know, were screwing in things and they messed threads up. We just needed to chase it with a tap. So I stuck this in there, and instead of sticking a tap in there and using a big old crescent wrench, pulling it around, you know, getting it cocked sideways, you just take this big old tap handle and you stick it on there, and you got you some nice leverage now. You take and you can turn that thing, and twist it on up in that hole, and clean them threads up. That's where I have used this one right here, but it's made for a lot larger tap than this 2-inch pipe tap right here. You can open this thing up, and it's a little bit snug, you know, it don't get used that much, but you can open this sucker up and it's got a big square here, so I don't know what size tap it can hold, but it can handle a big tap. And it's really just a nice conversation piece to have around the shop. My plan was to build some handles and screw in there, and eventually just hang it on my wall up there and have it with some other things that I haven't got to. I want to put some stuff up on the wall that I really don't use often, and this is one of the things I want to put up there. But every now and then this thing does come in handy if you gotta get you some good leverage on a tap and pull it. And this is another item that I just really like to have. I'm sure it came from the Navy base, where a lot of the tools came from that my granddad acquired, and it was one that he acquired. And it's just a really cool item to have, and I really appreciate it, having it around here. So I don't see it too often. I've never seen another one this size. I don't know anybody that's got one. I'm sure there's some guys out there that's probably got one, but I like having it. It's pretty neat. It's kind of fun, you know. You guys, if you get started in a conversation talking about some tap handles, you know, like, yeah, I got a big old tap handle. Look at that sucker. Yeah. Well, look at mine. I got one bigger than you. So I really like this, and anytime I get a chance, whenever people are hanging around and we're just hanging out and talking shop, I will pull this thing out from underneath here, and most guys are just like, holy cow, man, that thing is massive. And it is. It's really big and heavy. And I'll see if I can get you a shot of the hallmark on here, but it's right there. GTD, and then it says Greenfield, Massachusetts, made in USA, and down here at the bottom it says number 24. And I think the last time I looked these things up in the MSC book, I think they had them listed up to a number 22. Now that was a few years ago. You know, things might have changed since then. I don't know, but you might spill to find something like this. where you would find one, I don't know, unless you buy it new. But I really wanted to show this off. This tap handle is something that I cherish around here, and I really wanted to share it with you guys, and I appreciate the being able to show it to you. So I think that's about it for the tap handles and all the tap wrenches that I have here, and I've got one more thing that I want to put in this video, and I'm gonna go grab it and about to show it to you. I'll be right back. All right. All right, so I got one more item I'm going to show you. I got it right here. I'm about to pull it out. I was going to tell you, if you haven't gone and seen Ox Tool Company's YouTube page, you ought to. You need to go and see it. He's got some really good videos. He's got some cool projects that he always works on, and he's called my name out a couple times, which is pretty cool. I like hearing that. Recently, he did a video called Tool Review 4, where he went and I guess he went to the flea market, bought some tools, he showed them off, and he bought a set of calipers, spring calipers. That's what I call them anyway, just spring calipers. And they were some big calipers, and he showed them off in the video. And I left him a comment and told him, I said, hey man, that's pretty cool. I think I got a set that's bigger than that. So I do have a set of spring calipers I'm going to show you. And that's these right here. And after I finally grabbed them, I've had them hang up on the wall for a while. I don't know if these are bigger than Tom's or not, but it was just kind of a joke, you know. I said, hey, I think mine's bigger than yours. Now I don't know if they're bigger, but it'd been a long time since I put my hands on these, so you know, in my mind I was thinking they were like this big, but that's them here. So the whole point of this right here is me and Tom's got a little challenge going on, see who's got the bigger calipers. So I figured I'd go ahead and pull these out, show them to you, and we're going to take a measurement on here. And Tom, you're going to go and measure yours, and you're going to see how big yours are, and we're going to see who's got the biggest, okay? So just before I measure it real quick, I think they're the same thing. I really do. I think they're the same calipers. They've got a nice rusty patina on them because they've always been hanging on our shop wall. And I went ahead and tried to find the hallmark on here, and I did find them. They're right here. I just used my gray Scotch-Brite, and it says the LS Sterrett Company, Athol, Massachusetts, USA. So this is a Sterrett caliper. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip them over on this side, and I've got them centered. The tips are touching. I'm going to take my tape measure and go from the radius of the joined in here to the tips, and it's measuring exactly 24 3/4 of an inch. I don't know if you can see that in the shot, but I'm trying to show it to you there. 24 3/4. That's what they are. So Tom, it's time to go measure yours, see what you got, man. I've actually used these a couple times. When we had the big lathe, we had some big parts to machine, and I can't remember the exact job that I was using them on, but I did use them for some rough OD measurements. You know, you kind of set them where you want with the taper, you scale, and you can use them to kind of feel. You know, you push it on there and get you a rough feel out of it, and you can take some measurements with them. But it's not something that you use every day anymore. I mean, these are kind of old school, but for me, I really like having them because they belong to my granddad and my dad, and I like having them. So it's another conversation piece that I have hanging on the wall. And you guys haven't seen them because I didn't actually make a place for them to hang on the wall. I had them hanging way back there by the blast cabinet, but I'm going to have a spot somewhere in here where I can hang some of my favorite tools that I don't use often. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I was really looking forward to this because I was ready to see if these calipers are bigger than Tom's. So Tom, get out there and measure it, man, and let me know what you got. You gotta let me know if yours is bigger than mine. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I kind of had fun making it, even though I had a couple of interruptions here, but I had a good time, and I'm always looking for some more input on some other things you guys might want to see. I hope you guys enjoyed the tap panel video, and I do have some jobs coming up real soon with some work that I'm doing, and that will be coming up very soon. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys later, all right?